Did you know that Michael Schumacher actually got his start in Formula One because another Formula One driver got arrested? See, the team that we know as Aston Martin today originally started in 1991 as a team called Jordan Grand Prix. And on that team, there was a driver named Bertrand Gachot. The team was actually having a pretty good year, and Bertrand was having a pretty good drive as well. But Bertrand got himself into an altercation with a taxi driver. And while he was in traffic, he was getting frustrated with a taxi driver that was in front of him. And eventually, being a little bit of a hot-headed Formula One driver, he tapped the taxi driver's bumper. This enraged the taxi driver, and that guy got out of his taxi and physically confronted Bertrand. The way Bertrand tells it, the guy grabbed his tie, was up in his face, and the only thing he could do to defend himself was spray the man in the face with tear gas. Now, none of us were there, so we don't know if this was an overreaction, but we do know that the taxi driver then refused to leave Bertrand's car until the police were called. So Bertrand, feeling that he had acted in self-defense, called the police himself. The way he tells the story, the police arrived and he told them what happened, and then he was arrested. A few months later, Bertrand was required to show up in court, and he showed up to his court date expecting what he called a slap on the wrist. But he was a little bit shocked to discover that instead of a slap on the wrist, he was sentenced to 2 years in prison, which obviously put his F1 career in jeopardy. After he was jailed, he was also dropped from the Jordan Formula One team, and they needed a replacement driver. So Michael Schumacher, a German driver, got his debut, and obviously went on to have one of the most incredible careers in Formula One, bringing home eventually 7 world championship titles. Jordan Grand Prix eventually was sold in 2005 to Midland Group, and then sold again in 2008 to Force India. And in 2019, that same team became Racing Point with Lawrence Stroll at the helm, and in 2021, it became Aston Martin as we know it today. Formula One is one of those sports that has so many fun little facts like this, and I've really been enjoying going through the history of all of these teams for our basic series on Grid Chat. If you'd like to know more about Aston Martin's history, the team as it stands today, and the team it may become in the future, be sure to check out the Aston Martin episode of Grid Chat.